Swagger on point when I step in. Signs in the air for the gang that you're repping. Don't get brave when I'm stepping in the rave. If you show man love, everything's okay. So looking for a lively rave to have fun in. If there ain't girls in the place, we ain't coming. Middle finger up to the Jake, stepping in with the gang. Please tell the police they can't come in. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Show me a salute, that's gang. Pure love for the crew, that's gang. Don't chat shit if you ain't gonna bang. Just show man a sign if you're down for the gang. Sign if you're down for the gang.
Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. We be busting the clubs, cause you know that we can. Can't fuck with the gang, we don't fucking pretend. Still rocking the show, still feeling the flow.
Welcome back, Juventinita, to the Juventinita, back to Black and White Podcast. My name is Daniel Negro, obviously live from Calgary, Alberta. Episode number 14. Today is not going to be, not a pre-match, not a post-match, just, a casual debate. And, we got a very special guest, the one, the only Al from AllJuveCast. But again, before we bring him on, obviously you can see him on the screen. Again, smash the subscribe, drop a like, and, leave a comment, leave some questions. Click the bell for notification. That's going to allow you to see when the next podcast or any piece of content is coming up. Obviously, check out iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean. Those are your audio outlets. And, just keep an eye. There's a lot of stuff coming. So, again, without further ado, welcome on the pod, Al. It's great to have you back.
Yeah, it's great to be back, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's nice to see you moved into the J Stadium nicely. Looking good.
Yeah, live here now. It's nice. Lots of room with the social distancing.
Yeah, why live in Kamloops when you can live in the J Stadium, right?
Oh yeah.
But anyways, before we go further too, obviously if you guys have seen my tweets, obviously Al is the founder of Striped Hearts Apparel. We got to get this plug in. Because it is important, because you guys are going to be saving money, and that's always a great thing. So 20% off, guys, free shipping. I got this beauty of a Marquisio. You got two other designs, obviously of the great Alex Del Piero, and obviously the Loyal 6. So yeah, get on that, guys. Join the Striped Hearts family. You won't be disappointed. Great material and great designs, and more to come.
Yeah, thanks very much for the plug, man. Yeah, and there will be another drop coming soon, and I will unveil the players, and then we will all vote as Juventini together on which designs will be taken to production.
Awesome. Can't wait to see that. Obviously the big topic of, we're going to have debate. There's going to be 4 topics. We might get into a little bit of Genoa Juve at the end, but let's see where this takes us. Big topic right now, obviously deal just finalized. Arthur Melo, Pjanic. Different sides of the table. For me, I'm more of a take the money and run if it's possible. I think you've been vocal of liking the deal. We did have a poll, obviously, on my page or Twitter account, and it's about 65% for swap for Arthur and 35% just taking that money. Obviously, now there's been a dispute of whether we would have even got that money because they're inflated values, let's say. Obviously, for Plus Valenza FC. I mean, so let's get into it. Let's say the money isn't an issue. Let's say we would get the 70 million we're talking about. What are you liking about Arthur that's better than, let's say, going out and spending that 20 extra million for Pogba? What do you see? What are you liking right now?
Well, no, that's just it. If that were the case and we could get that money elsewhere, which I don't see us doing it, then I probably would go elsewhere.
Yeah.
But I think the whole part of the deal was the books. Barcelona needs help big time on the books. and they have to move some of their younger talent, despite what the fans and even their players come out and say, speaking against this move. They're stuck. They've made some bad decisions, and they're in a spot, and we're in a spot, and it makes sense for both clubs. And honestly, like, as far as the player goes, I see a huge, just the fact that we're going from a 30-year-old to a 23-year-old, and that in alone produces a lot of value, because if it doesn't work out, you're not stuck. In a couple of years, you could make something work and go elsewhere. If we could get that money from Pjanic elsewhere, which I honestly don't see it happening, yeah, I mean, Valenza, but you still got a lot of work to do to bring in, say, that Pogba, that Milinkovic-Savic. As much as people like it, Lotito will not do it for anything reasonable to us. It's just not in the cards this season. If it is, I will eat this Juve hat on my desk, man. It's not happening, right?
Yeah.
I can't see it. I think honestly, this was a really good piece of business for us. It allows us much more flexibility to get these other spots handled that we need to take care of.
Right. So let's look at kind of the deal as a whole. Obviously, more details have come out today, obviously, from when I wrote my notes. So we're looking at, obviously, I believe it's a 60 million sale for Pjanic, with obviously a bonus of 5 million, I want to say, and a 70 million fee for Arthur, and obviously a 12 million bonus. So a little bit different numbers. I was a little bit unhappy about that, seeing that today, just because it's not necessarily going to move the balance too much, because you're looking at that Pjanic deal as amortized. So really, there's not a big chunk of it left that you're.
It ends up being 45 mil
exactly,
to the positive, which is
pretty good.
Yeah,
which is pretty good, especially like you said, when we're getting the only just thing that I'm worried about, and I've talked about this just recently with Juve Club FC, was a guy, and I know you've mentioned it as well, a guy that really not acknowledging the club. We hear there was a turn when the salary was talked about, when there was that kind of 5 to 7 million, and it does look like he has about I believe it's a $2 million bonus. Not sure, obviously, what those stipulations are. So it could go up to 7 million.
could be
Yeah, so we don't, again, not knowing the fine details, we don't know how easy those are going to be to hit or not. We can only hope that Juve put in, reasonable goals, right? You want a player to be able to strive to that, but not necessarily, give them away as a steal, right? We got to be smart in that sense.
Could go both ways.
Yeah, no, true.
I mean, I see where you're going, and I get it with the 5 mil plus upwards of 2 million in bonuses, depending on what the objectives are or whatnot to hit it. But at the same time, the guy could be so pissed for being pushed out of Barca that it lights a fire under him, and he hits the ground running. So it could go either way, man. I honestly don't know. I do think 5 mil with bonuses. We were paying Pjanic, what, 6.5?
Yeah, somewhere
6.
around there. Yeah.
So I mean, all in all,
It's about wash.
pretty close to.
Yeah.
Pretty close to it. Maybe a bit more for Arthur, but again, I would rather spend that money on a guy that's 23 years old, that's got the high potential, than a free transfer that hasn't played anywhere for a year or is injury prone. Like, I'd rather give that money there, and take that opportunity, take that chance. It could go either way, this one, man, honestly. And yeah, I've said that my concern was when you start talking about the higher wages. He's got tax breaks in Italy that he doesn't get in Spain. Right. All this thing, and it's like, did that really start to weigh in? But then you also have the reports of Agent Delict and Anneke, there's girlfriend, being close with whose girlfriend was it, and they somehow in a roundabout way
I think it
got
was
to,
De Jong's wife, and then De
yeah, there
Jong's
you go.
wife.
There you go. De Jong's girl there, and then it got to Arthur's girl, and talking about the life in Torino and how wonderful it is, and yeah, that's kind of cool. So you never know. All we can do is, when you weigh it all out, it's a win. It's a win of a deal for Juve. I think
Yeah,
ultimately, when you weigh it all out, there are some question marks and some concerns. Um, but you would have that with any move.
right.
But I think in this particular one, the positives heavily outweigh the negatives.
Right. Yeah, just looking at his stats, obviously 46 games for Barcelona, 3 goals, 4 assists. He's pretty much a 90% pass completed player, which is nice to see. Obviously, that's a system that he's going to be going into. Obviously 30 chances created, 25 key passes, 19 tackles, one, the common, seems like a pretty, he's dribbled a lot of players.
I don't go heavy into stats though, man. I
It's
mean, they
tough.
gave
It's tough.
Ronaldo an assist last game, and I didn't have him with any assists. So let's take it easy on the stats.
You gotta, yeah, listen to the last part. Listen to the
Oh,
post leche, man. We'll talk to you about those assists. I'll tell you
I
about
know.
that.
I know.
I'll tell you about that, man. But yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think stats are, if especially let's say you're playing on a really good team in a Barcelona style that's pass heavy, you're gonna look like a very good passer at that point. I mean, it's here and there, right? But
Yeah, you take it
again,
with a grain of salt for sure. For
something
sure.
to something to just look at. The only thing I'm also kind of questioning about, I do agree with you on most of your points. Obviously, like you said, it is going to help us in the books wise. That's key. I was when you were saying Barcelona is very heavily hampered. I'm like, well, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
We know exactly how to play around with our books. So I think the only thing I'm worried about is if now this is it, right? We made this deal to make a good, positive investment with obviously getting rid of Pjanic, who's an older player, for a younger midfielder, which we need. Obviously, he's not going to come until next year. But then you've also seen the exodus now. You've seen Mavididi. You've seen Muratore. We've seen Pablo Moreno. We're in this Plus Valenza game, right? And I kind of got into it a little bit with Maurizio. Good back and forth about what I believe it was Cherubini, who is our COO or CFO, and he was talking about the U23 and how he wanted to, it's going to be this team that's going to help us, not spend as much money, give more of an identity to the team, and then you see all these deals taking place, and it just puts a smile on my face because we know how the merry-go-round goes these past few years. Obviously, you look at Pellegrini, you look at Spinazzola, you look at Keane and stuff like that. So that's my only kind of worry about the end of this is this really it? Are we going to look at the fullbacks? Are we going to look at maybe moving some player out? And you look at what, obviously, we'll get into something a little bit later. Obviously, one of the debates is about Paratici and Marotta. But, it seems like they're getting the upper hand, Merda. As much as we don't want to, say it, they might not be playing as well right now. They really aren't playing really good at all. But the way they're building scares me. And, we hear Hakimi, but I don't want to get too far into that. But because it'll ruin the fourth point. But what do you think about, being able to make moves? Obviously the transfer window is a little ways away, right? We still have all these games to play, but what do you think about hampering, or maybe this being the final move? Are you
First of
worried for
all,
that?
don't ever be scared of Merda. Let's just settle that right out at the bat. Don't ever be scared of those fucking clowns. Excuse my language.
No,
The,
don't worry about it. Cursing's
don't
allowed,
ever
but
be scared of those freaking clowns. So, I think, again, one of my points is with this whole deal making sense now, seeing those financials, it makes sense now why Juve pushed so hard. Like we were questioning it, and it was like, and I was one of them, and I was at the front and just like, why push for a guy that has acted like he's about to go to a mid-table side?
Right.
Not even acknowledging, not even saying good words. And they're like, well, he's maybe playing his hand so that he can get a better deal. And I'm like, yeah, well, it doesn't stop you from at least acknowledging the club, showing a sign of respect. I go, Paulo Dybala did that all summer, and he had zero intentions of going anywhere. He still said something respectful about each club he was linked to. You don't have to be that way, and it's just it's weird to me. And then it raises those doubts. Those doubts: is the guy coming for money? Is he coming for the tax break? Is he even going to care? Is he going to be committed to the cause? We got to hope that he wants to stick it to Barca. I put it in my post today. I hope that you are driven to prove them what a big mistake that they made.
Right.
Essentially handing you to us. Is this the last move? Or am I fear that this is it? Absolutely not. Because of the reason that they pushed so hard, because of the deal they got, because of the balance to the books, the boost that it gives the books, making all these other moves with these young guys now and padding that even further tells me that there's going to be there's going to be a couple key moves coming. What those moves are going to be could go a lot of different ways because we're linked in a lot of different areas, and that also makes sense because of the fact of what type of market you're dealing with, where it could literally, a deal could be snatched up from you in a second. It could be a swap. You got to be crafty financially, but essentially making this move for 10 million euros, essentially, like, but still showing a plus Valenza of 45, like, that's so key for us, and we needed it because of all the handcuffs we were wearing, right? So are we done? No, not at all. I don't think so.
Yeah, no, and it's going to be very interesting to see because some moves are saying that not going to come till after the season. Some moves are going to be obviously still talked about. Obviously, I think I found out on your podcast that was Pogba's contract expires. So, I mean, is that in the works? I mean, it's all to be seen, right?
The strange thing is, Pogba's comes up next season.
Yeah.
Next summer. The strange thing is to have this deal done, and at this time of year usually is fine. But now it's like we still have a good chunk of games remaining in Serie A. Then we go to Champions League, and it's like, Pjanic, we can't rely on him really. Like, we can't have that faith in him. Like, you just don't. Yeah. That's the part of this deal that really is going to be so bizarre. And honestly, it's right on par 2020 because it's been such a bizarre year. And it's going to be interesting to see, if stubborn Sarri sticks to his guns and keeps going with Pjanic, even though Bentancur should have had the job after the Merda match,
Right. Now, I believe it's been said that Arthur is going to be playing in the next game. I'm not sure. Yeah, again, it's going to be interesting what stipulations are on these transfer deal. Obviously clauses, and then you have obviously the contracts of the players. That's definitely going to be a big question because as my buddy Juve Club FC said, well, what if a guy tears his ACL or his MCL? And are the clubs obligated? So, I mean, obviously, we're not hoping that on anyone because, I would like to see Pjanic, like I said in the last pod, I thank him for everything he's done. He's been on an incredible run with us. Obviously, I'd say the last 2 years have been a little bit rocky, but, now it's time to move on and hopefully he can do well, not too well, but he can turn his career around. And hopefully we can get great use out of Arthur, but it's definitely going to be interesting with that. But we almost need to because, like you said, obviously Sarri's stubborn. But what happens if, let's say, Mr. Ramsey glass knees goes, or we need the players. It's really a strange 2020, like you said. Obviously, this window, no one would be usually playing games. The window where you're allowed to kind of balance your books. Obviously, June 1st to the end. No one would be playing during this time, right? So, again, it's all to be found, all to be determined. But yeah, this is crazy, man. This year has been crazy. And then the window opens up again and we start next year. So
Yeah, it's gonna be
never a dull
weird. It's
moment.
gonna be interesting. We are gonna need Pjanic. We're gonna need all our guys in rotation. I just don't think you can bank on him as a starter. But that's even before this move. Now, after this move, I feel like he's gonna be. He again, it could go either way. He could be like, kind
Motivated.
of upbeat about it and want to finish strong for the Juventina. I mean, he put out a very, very solid post that
Yes.
seemed very, very legit and genuine. And you know, it's tough, but his time has come.
Yeah.
Like he's been a constant professional the entire time. He's been great. He has been, regressing, and it is what it is. His time has just come, and that's all there is to it. Is it bittersweet? Yeah, but we have to
Yeah.
make this move.
Makes
Have to
sense.
make this move.
All right. Well, let's get into topic number 2. I know he's one of your favorite players. I just ordered a jersey with his number on the back. Number 12. Obviously, he's injured right now. Our prize left back, Alexandro, in or out.
It depends. It depends what the other moves are. Honestly, yeah. I
But
mean,
what are you? So what are you seeing? Because I think me and you have a little bit of a differing opinion on
I
this.
think he's only good defensively. I think he offers nothing offensively anymore.
Right,
Um, and I see our midfielders getting sucked out into the top left corner where they don't need to be all the time when he's on the pitch. And I
right,
see him creating congestion with the midfield because he's so narrow a lot of the time. You'll see him, whether it's Rabiot, whether it's Berna, whether it's Matuidi, he's like literally standing right next to them all the time in the offensive phase. And then it's like they turn to look to his flank and then he's like, oh yeah,
oh
oh
me,
shit. And then he goes and gets over there. And it's like, man, by that time, these fuckers are laughing and they're just like, really? Like, and then, it's just, that's really the part that frustrates me the most because it's the part we need the most.
right,
Defensively, the guy's stout, like, no
yeah,
question. World class defensively. Offensively and fundamentally, positionally, he has looked not with it. And that's the part that just bugs me the most and stands out the most because naturally it would. We don't really struggle defensively. We've got the top defense in Serie A. We've allowed the fewest
right,
goals. So that part, yeah, that's great. But the part that stands out that he does not so well is the part where we get frustrated when we have no, like, we struggle positionally, we struggle offense getting chances, we don't have support out there, and we create these nasty gaps. But those are the things I'm seeing that really don't make sense as to why he can't do them when even a guy like Blaise Matuidi gets in there and just does the basics. Did he get caught with some markers? Yeah, because he's used to playing in the midfield and letting them go
right.
because Sandro's behind him, right? But I don't know, man. Like, I think, like, honestly, he's become way too one-sided for me. That's all. I think we need a better balance. That's all.
Yeah,
And it's like when he does it, it's great. He can do it. He
yeah.
just doesn't. We've seen a couple matches where he hits the ground running and he's pushing it and he's getting to the byline, making these crosses, these dangerous crosses, getting him behind the D. But then it's like it's gone, and he just doesn't even get anywhere near the final third anymore. And I just don't understand why. That's my real thing with him. But as far as in or out, it really depends, man. We have to get a center forward. Have
Yeah.
to. Um, right back is a higher priority. When a right winger beats your right backs out for their positions, that's a bad sign. And we still need a big midfielder.
Yeah.
Arthur's not it on its own. So
Oh,
yeah.
I agree with you point for point on our needs. I said it exactly in the last pod. I think yeah, right back again. When a guy is a right winger and he looks so good and can be so dangerous off the bench, or obviously starting in that role, and now you have to reduce him to a right back where he's got to go that whole length and obviously worry about the defensive side as well. It does take a toll on a player. My position on Alexander was this. Obviously, he has been very defensive. I do not disagree. The stats show it, right? One of the best statistically. Even if you're looking at Leonardo Spinazzola or you're looking at Luca Pellegrini, I would say about 80, 90% of those stats, he's on top. And obviously that's all based off of transfer marks, so if you want to believe that or not. If you did look, there was an interesting stat actually before the break. He had the most dribbles besides Ronaldo and Dybala. So to say he's not necessarily getting up there, okay, let's look into that. When I watched the Juve Milan game, right? You look at those first 30 minutes. Brilliant, I would say, for the most part. Danilo, Alexandro, they were moving it up the pitch, getting the ball out wide. What was very strange to me is it got to a point where the ball would go up to Ronaldo and either one of the two would push forward, let's say Alexandro, and he would almost get caught to say, hey, give me the ball. So I noticed there was a lot of, and it's happened a lot of time, both. Don't get me wrong. There has been congestion where you see him getting too close or not making the proper run. I don't admit that he hasn't done that. He has. But I find that there is a lot of miscommunication. Obviously, he's only played those 2 games recently because he got injured. But that's what I noticed mostly happening. It was just a miscommunication between Ronaldo and him. And if you can't get that rectified, it doesn't matter how many times they run. It's going to work sometimes. But if he's got to wait for Ronaldo and he's going to take 3 seconds to give him the ball, I mean, is he going to run offside? You know,
I gotta challenge you on this one. And no, like, first of all, again, stats. I don't know, man, not my thing. Stats are misleading. We want to count his dribbles and stuff. Look at his dribbles. Where are they? They're in the neutral zone. He runs up and then he stops. He literally, like, that's his move. Like, he will run up that byline, stop, it comes back around, or he'll get it into a midfielder and just stand there. With Ronaldo, there's never a 1-2 because he doesn't play the 1-2. Sandro will not play the 1-2s. Sandro also staying back and not overlapping is what's leaving defenders surrounding Ronaldo when he's out there. It's so funny because you watch, again, this is my frustration because there's nothing stopping Sandro from doing these things. Deschilio, for Christ's sake, of all guys, steps in that match.
Right.
And he's opening up space for Ronaldo, just taking that run, taking that defender out of there, going down line. He doesn't have to get the ball. But
those were against 2 different teams, right? Those were against 2 different styles. You have to think when we played Napoli and when we played Milan, those guys were sitting behind the ball. Bologna and Lecce weren't sitting behind the ball.
Whether they play behind the ball or not, you want to play behind the ball, that's fine. It doesn't stop you from having to play off one another and take a defender away from space. So if they're playing behind the ball, okay, great.
There's more congestion.
You still have your lane. You still have to take that guy away. It doesn't mean they are playing behind the ball, so we stand here. If anything, you need more off the ball movement to break those teams down. That's the reason Juventus can't, is because we have 2 players that move off the ball. That's Ramsey and Bernardeschi. Quadrado will do it as well, but Quadrado does most of his stuff with the ball at feet. Costa, Dybala, Ronaldo, ball at feet. Higuain, is another. He's a third guy that will move off the ball in the space and stuff. You have to do. Danilo, bless his heart, he knows what to do. He does the right things. His execution isn't where it needs to be. But he makes those moves. He makes those runs. He does them. Like I'm telling you, when you can see guys like Deschilio and Matuidi go in there and just do the fundamentals and it opens up the space naturally because it's the right thing to do. That's the part that frustrates me. Sandro's just got to do the right thing. Whether the ball goes to him or not, whatever, it's fine. We are stout at the back, and if you did that properly, everybody's scared about this counterattack. Well, we look bad on counters when he's not making that run because the midfielder gets caught high up there, and Sandro is still kind of in limbo, in no man's man, half committed, and it creates our 3-man midfield into a 2-man midfield, and the D has shifted around because Sandro's still in this no man's land. It's simple, and it looks night and day. Whether they play behind the ball or not, when a team plays behind the ball, you need quicker passing, 1-2s, and you need to try and get in behind them and penetrate them, because if you're just going to stay ahead of them, cross the ball into the box, welcome to last season where we were losing our minds.
Exactly.
It's got to be there's nothing stopping him. That's why I will fight this to the death, man. He can do it. We've seen it. We know he can. It makes no sense to me why he can't, and why when these other guys go in there, they're doing it. It doesn't make sense, right? So it's like, if you thought he was being told, like, no, we don't want you overcommitting to hang back or not, then how the hell are we so comfortable with Matuidi going up there and doing that and pushing that into Shilio? So that's just my thing, is like, again, Sandro defensively, I have no issues. Rock solid. It's just, I don't understand why he can't be more supportive, make those runs, take that guy out, create that space, and leave the midfielders where they need to be in the front. Like, guys are talking like our midfield have to start shooting. Fuck, it's so rare to get them in those positions, because when one has to go out there, they're positionally, man, we there's matches, we're a mess. When you watch us struggle for chances, we are a mess positionally. We become so one-sided. Oh yeah. And then when we do switch field, it's literally like one guy and nobody else around. So it's just those things that really piss me off. May not be, it's just Sandro's the victim of my frustrations, because the other guys, for whatever reason, are doing those things, right?
Yeah. No, I definitely would have liked to have seen him in a match against. I mean, it's too bad. I mean, I think he would have. You look at the game where you look at Lecce, right, and they could have at least been up 2-0. I counted at least 2 chances where one, I believe, was obviously Matuidi let the guy run back, and De Ligt obviously didn't clear the ball, and he put it over to the one Lecce. Obviously they connected, and obviously the guy put it wide. But definitely.
And then Quadrado had that brutal giveaway. He put De Ligt under. We were sloppy. We were sloppy at the back and stuff. But and at the end of that first half, granted, it came after we were up a guy. We should have had 2 goals for sure.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
It's I don't know, man. Half a dozen one, half a dozen the other. It's I don't know, man. I really don't know. It's
Do you think it was something that Allegri ingrained, and maybe that's like you said, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Does he not have faith in him making the run to?
I have no idea what it is, man. Because when he does it, he's good at it. He just even when he gets in 1v1 scenarios where he's got the defender backing up, he still looks like he is not confident in taking a guy on. And I'm like, just go at him. Yeah. Just go. Like, take him on. Like, those are the times you're okay. Like, that's the time to take a guy on. Like, you're going to lose it, at the final third, of play, whatever. And it's like, take the guy on. Try and work a 1-2 with Cristiano or whoever is showing Dybala, like a midfielder. Like, he's stop and then backwards. And I don't know why that happened, because he used to be guns blazing, man. He would take every guy on, and it just stopped, man. Yeah. Stopped completely.
Yeah. I think, and like I've always said, it's such a difficult position to, replace. I think I mean, there's been some moves that obviously we haven't taken advantage of, but besides those, I don't know who you're pulling in there that is as defensively solid.
But that's the thing, though, is like I would sacrifice a bit defensively if it was better balanced.
Right.
I'd
Okay.
look for something more balanced. It doesn't need to be so one-sided. I'm not looking for all-out offense out of that position,
Or
but
all,
I
yeah.
definitely don't want all-out defense. Like it's got to be just
Yeah.
that balance, man.
Yeah, and I think it's Torino he's supposed to be back, or a little bit later than that. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, we'll definitely see what happens, and hopefully,
Well, that's hopefully the recovery goes smooth because they said about 6 games, like
yeah,
if everything went well. So we'll see what ends up happening.
we'll have to wait and see on that one.
I
Hopefully,
don't
you're
know how
wrong.
many more of Danilo's 8-minute 2 yellows I can handle. So
Fucking tell me about that, man. I don't think I've snapped that quickly in a long time for a game. Like I don't know how someone could be that stupid making that kind of money
Yeah.
in the situation that you're in. But anyways, speaking of snapping at certain people, you had a special guest discuss a special coach from last year, and this next segment will be the Allegri apologists versus the rest of us. I still can't believe we're in this. I mean, as bad as sorry could be, I still can't believe after this long.
I wish we would have went over the fucking topics before. You're killing me, man. You're gonna make me talk about Allegri again?
Yes, man, we got to get into this. I have to get into this. The guy that ruins Dybala in his last season. We're celebrating comebacks with this guy. I don't understand. It's 2 losses and we're already bringing the Allegri train into the station. What the fuck's going on, guys? Like, come on. We're better than this.
Trophies, man. Trophies. Matt, honestly,
like, please, like
this
is a PSA. This is a PSA for Allegri. Please pick a team. I'm waiting.
The only way I could put it is, people I think need to, and it's very, very hard. I said this, I think maybe 2 or 3 podcasts ago. It's really, really hard because we have dominated domestically. And we've been constant challengers in Europe, and it's really, really hard to deal with, and I'm a victim of it too. You get so used to winning that you lose sight of the big picture. And the thing is, I said it a couple weeks ago, I said, it sucks to lose that Coppa Finale. It was a shootout. We lost the Supercoppa. Yeah, Lazio kind of raped us. But all in all, like at the end of this year, if all we get is the Scudetto, that's a big success in a first transitional year with a new manager. And a big part of your core that has arguably become complacent and not performed as well, and with shortcomings from your management in player personnel. If we look at this as a big picture, this would be a massive success for Sarri if we get just the Scudetto this year. And if we start making some right deals, which I actually think the pandemic has kind of woken Juve up and made them more aware of their shortcomings in the deals and the contracts and everything. If we can make the right moves like this, it could be good. It could be the start of that next step and that next level we need to get to. It's just really, really hard for us to, and we're never probably going to get used to it now, but taking those defeats, taking those hard lumps as we go through this transitional period, right? But it's a transitional period, and they're trying to do it, with the most minimal type of rebuild. But it is a rebuild and restructuring, and it's a change of philosophy. It's a change of attitude. It's like, but they're trying to do it as safe as they possibly can to still win something, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, if Sarri gets a trophy out of the two that are leaving, good God, if it's the Champions League, nobody's gonna take anything away from the fucking guy, like that is it. Okay, I'm gonna start smoking 70 a day. This bastard brings me that big ear trophy. The thing is, he gets either one of those.
Yeah.
This year is a big success. And then it just should grow off that with the moves. Let's get him the right guys, right? The players he wants, he needs. But Allegri, I mean, when we look at the two, I think honestly, there's a lot of different things that we have to discuss. And I talked about it earlier on in the year as it was coming up, and people seemed a little impatient after we started going through this slump. But to go to Allegri from Conte's system is very, very easy. Much, much easier than Sarri trying to turn around this mentality in this club that's been safe, and used to the same thing, playing a slow tempo game, like slow build up, happy to cross and just take whatever the defense gives you, even if it's absolutely nothing, like just find those goals, like whatever. It's a drastic difference. That's one of the things. Allegri, to his defense, and I think what people, are kind of sticking to when you look at him versus Sarri, is much more tactically flexible, and it gives people that safety net feeling that if something isn't working, he'll be able to pull something out of his ass and switch something up and find something that's going to get us that dub. He just naturally built that faith from fans, right? He got that faith out of them because he is much more tactically flexible.
Right.
He sacrificed less players. Granted, one was Dybala, which drove all of us nuts because we love the kid. But honestly, out of that club, that's probably the only one he sacrificed. Bentancur wasn't able to progress much. We always questioned Allegri for how the young guys were being integrated, and felt he was always stuck to his experienced guys. And the growth seemed a lot slower. Sarri, on the other hand, you can argue has sacrificed maybe a little more out of the players due to his stubbornness. Lack of flexibility. He had Bernardeschi, Ramsey fighting in this trequartista thing that wasn't working for either of them, and he stuck to that for so long when he should have moved on. He's got Bentancur lights out, finally has the faith to put him in over Pjanic versus Merda, and then all of a sudden he doesn't go back to it. We see Ronaldo as center forward. It doesn't work, but he keeps doing it now. Like after the break, he started with, and it's like Ronaldo's telling you he doesn't want to play there. The player's like, why are we doing this? Dybala naturally, to me, just seemed to make sense to do that. Put him in the middle, let him play off those guys, be the link. Sorry, he kind of shoots himself in the foot sometimes just because of his mentality. But honestly, we're looking at a huge contrast in styles and what they're trying to achieve and what they're trying to do. And I think it's also with just the way the team was used to playing, it's asking a lot for Sarri to change that mentality that's ingrained into your spine of your team, that core. I think a good sign is the rise and emergence of De Ligt. We're starting to see now that he's comfortable defensively. I talked about this on the last pod. He's starting to bring that total football brand to us, where now he's starting to get integrated offensively. And he's starting to push the field, and it's starting to draw confusion out of the defenses we're facing, where he's starting to draw some more attention, and it's opening up in behind them. That's going to help. Sarri needs these guys to come in to this lineup to shift that way of playing and the way we did. Guys like De Ligt, guys like Demiral, they have the mentality of foot on the throttle, let's go. I believe Dybala wants to play that way. But we have to build around him and stop, trying to fit him in. Let's build around Dybala. Let's actually build with him. We secured Gigi and Chiellini. When the fuck is Paolo getting extended? Come on.
I don't
But
know,
yeah,
man. I don't
sorry,
know.
Allegri, two completely contrast styles. Honestly, we have to look big picture. If we get one of these two trophies, I am happy. I don't know about you. I'm
Yeah.
happy.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of fans didn't realize the big step that we were taking. Like you said, when we went from Conte to Allegri, it's like going up one step. Well, when we went from Allegri, and we needed, I think the separation is a lot of people like to look at the longevity of Allegri's career instead of the past 2 seasons of stagnant, no growth that didn't even look close to what we were obviously going to finals and how well we were playing in his first, you could say, 3 years. And I think it's just that difference of realizing this was going to be a massive step. And I think a lot of people also thought, oh, well, we're Juve. We could just go from uh, being able to use whoever we wanted in whatever formation with a coach who was very tactically capable to someone who wants to play a certain way and it being that far away. And it is. And I think, and I've said this on a couple podcasts that I've had, you know, if this was the realization that Sarri is not a great coach or an exceptional coach, then that's what we found out. Now, there's people that get paid a hell of a lot more than me and you, a hell of a lot more than me and you, that should have sorted this out at the end of Allegri's time. You know, if you see a guy, and everybody's been telling me this, Sarri is the same way. He's stubborn. He was the same way at Napoli, that he was the same way. Okay, so people are saying this around the sport. You have guys that can look into this. And if now you accept that, I've said this. I found the management wanted to try and pull an Allegri using Sarri. They said, this is what you're going to get. Can you do it? And Sarri, being a proud man, said, yes, I can. And this is where we are. He's still going to be stubborn. He's still going to play with his ways. And, you know, like you said, I've said this is a blessing in disguise, this COVID. You know, maybe the financial pressure that's now going to be put on us because you've said it, we're down 120, 150 million. Who knows? Hopefully that's coming out soon because I really want to dig into that and see what the hell's going on financially. But in terms of Allegri, I mean, guys, I was not happy with how we were playing. We could have won every game that season. And to me, it essentially wouldn't have. It is what it is. Those Scudetti. Me losing one, and I think the fear of losing this title is what like those first two losses and the way we're playing and how stubborn he was. And the idea is like, oh shit, we might go a season without winning a title this year. And that crossed everybody's mind, and everyone was like, then it was then it just started, the gear started turning. Oh, well, if we would have had Allegri, and Allegri knows how to win, I don't know.
He should have been gone after Cardiff, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that again, we've that's been debated in the past and how far, but you know, I think with the amount of players that were, let's say, run out, you look at, you know, certain players that we might be able to use now, the Chans, the Benatias. I think with him, it is what it was. And like you said, everybody's time ends up for a reason or not. Conte's era ended. Allegri's, Lippi's ended. Trapattoni's ended. You know, time keeps going forward. So hopefully, like you said, we've got this kick in the ass. And hopefully now, hopefully it's just a learning curve from here on out with Sarri. You know,
the tough thing is if you go trophyless, you know, this is a tough one because
it is because the money, right?
I understand that, like, you know, it's a rebuild and it's that. So even factoring in all these things I've talked about the rebuild and the transition and being realistic at the same time, you know, you can't lose who you are, and the thing is, you can't set that precedence that like we're gonna accept this in a rebuild or anything like that, because we should still be. I think he still has the team to win, and the part of it that's frustrating is if we lost
Yeah.
and we had an identity, and sorry, his game, what he was trying to achieve
Yeah.
was coming through, I'd feel a little bit differently.
Yeah.
But the fact that what he's trying to accomplish really hasn't come through, granted COVID break or not, because it really wasn't there before, it was flashes here and there.
Right.
We had a huge lull where we were getting results, but it was like, what the hell? It was the greasiest crap I've ever seen in my life. And that's the thing. If the biggest thing is like the identity, like why is it not getting through? Arguably, and I don't even think it's arguable. Like this is probably his, most highest profile roster he's had to manage.
Yeah.
When it comes to
Oh, yeah.
players and egos and whatnot. And maybe he's just not the guy. Maybe he can't get that identity
Yeah.
because he can't get through to these guys, and he's not that man manager that they need. Maybe they need a persona bigger than them. Maybe they need that, Zidane, or like just the guy that was the player, that was the balls on the pitch, that maybe they just need that. Maybe it has nothing to do with Zidane's tactics or stuff like that. It's just he can control them. He can get them to do what they need to do and buy in, right? He's got ties to Juve. I mean, maybe Sarri just isn't that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something that's, we've kind of learned throughout the season, and that's the decision the club wanted to make, right? We really don't have a choice over that, right?
Well, did they, or was that plan B?
Again, we'll never know. Hopefully there's a last
Speculation, right?
hopefully there's a last
Speculation, but
dance.
It was scrambly. It wasn't a smooth process to find out who the new coach was. So who knows, man?
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a long road ahead. As Juve fans, you want to see the best for the club. So, I mean, hopefully we can see this turned around. Higuain obviously came back, and I was happy that he scored. And looked pretty decent. I mean, hopefully he can add that edge and that link up. And maybe we could throw something, I know HDR was a thing back before this. So let's see what happens. And then, let the chips fall where they may. See what trophies are won at the end of the year. And yeah, let's hopefully enjoy this. We need to celebrate. We got to keep that, that nice badge you have on your chest. And but yeah, definitely definitely the Lazio, and you even look at Atalanta, how well they played after this break. Could you imagine if they were even in striking distance? How much more worried I think a lot of us would be. But
it's just watching them play. I mean, it's they just move up the pit. They are in your attack, like in your final third, attacking you in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Like they're just it's so nice to watch, right? And yeah, it's something I've been talking about for a long time. It's why I have doubts when everybody is talking about players that Juve needs and all this. I'm like, we have no style of play. We have no set identity. Like you watch us play, it's like our own players have no idea how they're going to score.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they have no idea how they're going to
It's like they're dead.
find a goal.
Dead in the head.
Yeah, this is day one. This is day one football. Like it's shocking to me. And you watch these clubs and man, they know how they're going to create chances for themselves. Everybody's playing well off one another. There's chemistry, and they work hard. They work hard. And sometimes, I feel like we struggle in all those regards. I feel like we struggle with guys who just don't know their role, how they fit in. I think the chemistry is lacking between certain guys. Um, I think there might be some doubts in the manager, the coach.
Yeah.
Um, I think there's a lot of things at play there, man. And then just yeah, tactically, like just sometimes it's like we're throwing darts at a dartboard blindfolded. Like you're just, how are we going to score a goal here? You know?
Yep. It's like, do I move left now? Do you go? Where do I go? Do I stand here? Should I move?
Yeah.
So, how much are we cutting? What's the check going to be cut for Gasparini this end of the year?
Oh man, that's the other thing too. Like I always wonder, like how does he react to the expectations, the drastic change in expectations?
That's That's true. That's the thing.
You
That's the big
know,
question, right? That's the big
is he
question.
is he is he killing it because they're content getting into fourth? Like that's huge for them, getting into
Oh yeah.
Champions League. But man, if they go deep, if they make a run, like who knows, man?
Shell it out. Shell it out. Okay, let's get into the last one just quickly here. Paratici versus Marotta. There's been a lot of debate. Um, who was the brains behind the building of this team? Obviously from ground zero or below ground zero. From Serie B, obviously till now. You look at Merda, what they're doing, obviously continuing to build. They're building a strong midfield. Obviously, Hakimi's been linked as well. Kumbula, a lot of players that have been linked with us. And it just seems like, obviously, barring this deal that has just gone through, right, with Artur and Pjanic, uh, it really seems like they're building a big squad. And I mean, sure, you could say what you want about them now. But definitely for us, it's more look like components we're buying, and they are building kind of what I thought we were doing before Ronaldo happened. So give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, some of the
I guess we won't
trying
find
to
out,
pull,
right?
huh?
We won't find out now.
Well,
Obviously,
no,
who
but some
comes
of the
out, but
shit we're trying to clean up and have to clean up is because of Marotta too.
Morata,
Like people have to realize that. Like um,
fair play.
yeah. As far as what Merida's doing too, I mean, yeah, they're building a solid club. I don't know. I'm still not really worried about them. The only thing that worries me is like when guys like Tonali, and this is why I say like I wonder if Juve backed off because there's a lot of links with Juve, and I feel
Right.
like they were spreading out their options to see what route they were going to go, and I feel like they set up scenarios, and it was
Right.
like I feel like the whole beginning piece was depending on what the deal would be for Pjanic and what
Yeah.
would happen. I think now we will start seeing what they actually
Want to
have
do?
in plan. Like it's going to start to unfold. Tonali has not finalized anything.
No.
Merda is in the lead, apparently, but things can change. Kumbola, I heard, is Lazio bound
Oh, okay. There you go.
for a small fee, which is crazy. I heard like 25 or something. Crazy. But yeah, uh, Merida's got a good project. Doing it from the midfield the way Conte likes it. Midfield out. Center
Yep.
backs, they started with that, but his center backs are like Godin is done. Ashley Young, yeah, that's funny. Um, who the hell plays right back for? Didn't they bring Moses back or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
So
think that's kind of what they're right. That's where they're
I
looking.
mean,
Their fullbacks and
some of their deals are pretty bad too. I mean,
oh yeah.
You can keep Lukaku, who doesn't score against any good club, so that's sweet.
Well,
And
definitely.
apparently they're gonna possibly lose Lautaro. So then what happens? Those two
Yep.
got good link up, but Lukaku hasn't scored against a top club like I think ever.
Yeah.
So it's just it is what it is. He's got a good midfield, but this is part of the thing that I laugh about too when Tonali like reports suggest that he's gonna get more time there, but that midfield is flooded.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sensi, Barella, Eriksson, Brozovic, and then Tonali. I'm like, what do you don't think you're gonna get playing time over Blaise Matuidi or Sami Khedira? Come
Yeah.
on, kid. Like,
I
give your
th-
head a shake.
I think and I can't remember who came on, but they made a very good point about this because we talked about, the rumors were swirling before all of this kicked off, and the guest told me, he said, when there's a project where the main storyline, if you want to call it, is slaying the giant, that's a big thing because your name is going to be that guy who took down Juve 8 Scudetti, 9 Scudetti, 10 Scudetti, whatever it may be.
Yeah, yeah.
That when you're able to put your name in that kind of lights, that's almost more attractive to a player because they feel that they're building, obviously they're the key to that success, right? Obviously there's players who want, they're going to go, you want to join Juventus, yeah, you're going to be able to play to win a Champions League every year, you're going to be able to win a Scudetto every year. It is great, but I think that storyline also kind of plays a factor into a lot of these players now choosing Merda over Juve. And then again, like you said, how we're backing down with financially, we don't know why. Maybe we're getting another story than what other clubs are getting, right? It's you
Well,
gotta look at the relations too, right?
the narrative's there. Everybody wants to dethrone Juve, but Conte's a player's guy.
Yeah,
Everybody knows that. Conte's a player's guy, man. Like players, like they like to play for Conte. Everybody that talks about him, the ultimate motivator, and you see him running out, celebrating goals. Like you see him hugging these guys after matches, like right in there, handshakes, like embracing these guys and stuff. And he, like these guys, and we saw it firsthand. They will go to war. They will die for Conte.
Yeah.
And it's when you got a guy like that spearheading this project, and you put that on top of the narrative of trying to build the anti-Juve and dethrone the champs. Yeah, and then the combat to that too is our project hasn't looked strong for a while because we just haven't treated it properly, and
Right.
we are not. People wanted to get upset about Mino Raiola's words, but he was spot on. Like if you're a young guy and you go to Juve, you know you won't be treated seriously.
Yep.
You just know you won't, and it's a part that frustrates me. But I like the fact that now we've got De Ligt. It looks like there was deals for Demiral before his injury and whatnot, but they backed off. They're like, no, we want to keep him. Let's lock up Dybala. Bentancur, the rise of Bentancur is 22 years old. Kulishevsky, it's yet to be determined what the hell's going to happen with this kid, if he's even going to play for Juve. Luca Pellegrini, we cannot sell, in my opinion. Like, bring him in. Let's see what the kid's got. But it looks promising. Tonali, of course, if we can get that done, like that's great. But Arthur's 23 years old with high potential. So it's, I think it's going good. Obviously now links pick up heavily with Ferran Torres there.
Yep.
A guy that could play left or right wing. Very, very talented, skillful player. Heard he played a bit as center forward, but he's more known for his wing play. The talks are still out there about Gabby Jesus, and that's the kind of guy I'd love to see for Juve. I think it's a different element. We always seem to go for these guys that are in the box that are service dependent, and let's build a fast, like step on your throat team, guys that want to score like 6 goals a game, that are fast, pacey, like agile, technically skilled young guys, and let's let them just have fun and just like run rampant on these fucking guys, because I'm so tired of these free transfers with high wages, older guys, and just like I get it. You have to have a good balance of experience and young guys, but the thing is, we've been tipping the scale on the experience.
Right.
And it's time that we start getting the
Gotta bring it back.
late. We got to just balance it out and get that boosted energy driven guys that are hungry for starting spots,
Yeah.
time, like get that competition going. I think we just got bloated from
Yeah.
feasting on the league.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, like I said,
It's been Thanksgiving dinner, man, and you filled up too much fucking turkey, too much gravy, vino, and you're laying on the couch now and you're comfortable.
every
You're
weekend.
just like, that's it, right? We're bloated. It's
Yeah.
time to get back in shape and take it.
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
You know what? We kind of did this to ourselves and allowed everybody to catch up.
Yep, exactly. And when you take for granted, you're gonna learn the lesson. Either you regroup from that and you obviously make the changes that you need,
Yeah.
or I don't want to say what the or is, but I think you know what the or is. But
Yeah.
so we'll see what happens.
They
I
just need
guess
to make moves that make sense for building a team, not the best deal at the time.
exactly. I agree with you 100%. I think you put it perfectly, Al. Awesome points again, as always. Just last thought on Genoa. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen? Obviously, we're going to get a similar lineup. I'm assuming Danilo's going to slot back in there. And then, yeah, I would assume we're going to go with a 4-3-3. I haven't really looked up into the lineups or anything or the projected, but
Yeah.
how do you see this playing out? Because they are a tough tie. I think they've proven
Yeah.
in the past to cause us difficulties. But
I
just your
think we'll
last note.
get a lot of the same 4-3-3, but it'll be a 4-4-2 defensive shape. They'll keep Dybala, Ronaldo kind of higher up, and then Bernardeschi I think will probably start, and then I think we'll see Costa as the sub as he's more effective. I think in the middle is the big question mark. I mean, the deal's done. Interesting to see what Sarri does. It sounds like from his pressers, there's not a lot of faith in minutes in Ramsey. So I honestly think it's going to be Pjanic and Bentancur. And you'll probably see one of Matuidi or Rabiot could go either way. Most likely be Matuidi.
Yeah.
And yeah, Danilo will slot back because there's no other options. Quadrado on the right. Delict, Benucci. I mean, I was kind of surprised against Lecce we didn't roll Rugani in there and give one of them a break, but these guys are on fire right now and they haven't allowed a goal for a while, so maybe just keep rolling with it.
Yeah.
Up front, yeah, Berna, Dybala, Ronaldo. Might see Higuain maybe and maybe Dybala on the right. I don't know. I don't think he'll do it. I think
Yeah.
he'll go with Berna because Berna's put in a couple good performances and
Right.
he offers more defensively. Genoa is going to be a battle, man. This one, it always is there, and I think it's going to be a grind. I think we'll find it 2-1. But
Okay.
yeah, I expect a lot of swear words and some frustrations watching this one.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But again, there's these 4 games that I keep talking about before the gauntlet really starts. And yeah, no, it's definitely key to come out of this game with a W, just like it's going to be key to come out of Torino with a W. And yeah, no, but I think it's definitely going to be a tricky game. I'm not sure if they're going to be, if they're going to sit back, we might be in for, again, like you said, a tough first 30 minutes. And then hopefully, I hope the quality comes through, or they just get a red card like what we're used to.
Yeah, yeah. But that didn't even matter against 10-man Milan for 75 minutes.
Oh yeah, honestly,
Shocking.
still confused about that game.
Yeah, yeah. No, it'll be a grind, but yeah, those will be the tough ones when we play Atalanta, when we play Lazio, and then there's Roma in there.
Yep.
I think Milan in there too.
Yep.
We got the Derby della Mola before that too.
Yep.
And Torino's hot as hell right now. It's super hot. So like that's the thing is they don't play this time of year.
No.
and it's hot there.
Oh yeah, exactly. And so just gonna have to keep grinding and keep, Bentancur again. At least to Sari's credit, apparently had some cramps in the last game, so he was definitely smart enough to take him off, because that would be massive, especially.
Benta can't go down, man. There's
No. So hopefully that was just a little bit of a hiccup, but nothing there. And let's see what happens tomorrow, everybody. And Al, thank you for coming on for this little interesting discussion, debate, whatever you want to call it. I think you probably hammered me on. That's what the comments are gonna say. But no,
Yeah,
always.
you get me fired up, man. I knew you were gonna bring up Sandro. I knew you were gonna do that. But the
No.
Allegri thing caught me off guard. And I was like, God damn it, you're gonna make me talk about Allegri.
No, but always great comments, man. You're always insightful, and again, appreciate always with the support. Thank you for coming on. And guys, obviously check out what Al's got going on. Obviously, AllJuveCast and Striped Hearts Apparel. Don't miss out on those deals, because why pay more, guys? Why pay more? And anyways, again, for me at Juventinita, DAL, Twitter and Instagram. Obviously, podcasts on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, and keep an eye out for Twitter. Obviously, links will be up as soon as possible. So, yeah, definitely going to have a post game of the Genoa game. Daniel Lucci is going to be coming on. So, yeah, guys, stay tuned. And as always, fino alla fine, Forza Juventus.
What's up, Juve? Thanks for having me on.